Hey, everybody. Super intriguing topic today, diving into the world of AI voice agents for customer service and beyond. Tori, how are you?
Good, Evan. It's great to be here. Appreciate the time.
Likewise, thanks so much. I know you guys are super busy. Let's dive right in. What inspired the creation of Thoughtly? And tell us about your journey.
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate that. So it really began back last July. I reached out to my now co-founder Casey when I realized it became very easy to converse back and forth with ChatGPT. Right? I know we all saw it. You could just have a full-on conversation with AI, and I thought it was incredible. And there was only really a matter of time before there were what we now call turbo voice models that would make it possible. And of course, now this is not as kind of crazy to think about, but possible to just talk back and forth like a human with the chat GPT we were interfacing with 12 months ago. And so that's when Casey and we started working on what is now Thoughtly. And it was essentially this drag and drop sort of decision tree builder around which you could kind of instruct a language model to follow a conversation from the beginning of the conversation saying hello to converting them or getting them to do the customer to do whatever needed to be done, like booking an appointment or gathering information or scheduling something else, and even routing calls and then ending the call. And so that's how it began. And then in November, October, November, our API partners, 11 Labs, they came out with turbo voice models to make this possible. Language models became intelligent enough and quick enough. And now what we have on our hands is essentially an entire AI call center in a box, which is what Thoughtly's building. It's any inbound call or outbound call that you need to make and that you currently have humans making in a contact center, Thoughtly can do as well, but just in the cloud.
Well, it's an exciting time to be in our space. Well, let's dive in to the process of building and deploying your AI voice agents. What's involved?
Yeah, so there's sort of two approaches that we can take. First of all, there's the workflow builder that you could try yourself. You just go on to Thoughtly and you create an account, and you can just take the start node, the end node, and then everything in between. That's your conversation. And so when an inbound call comes in, you want to map them through this workflow. You can send API requests. You can gather information from Salesforce and HubSpot, put data into your CRM. That's kind of how it works if you wanted to do it on your own. Interestingly, a lot of our customers and many people who are listening to this actually don't really have the time to build out their entire software suite for their AI call center. So that's why we offer what we call the Agent Accelerator. And essentially, it's a 30-day program where we take all of your information, whether you have leads sitting in a spreadsheet or HubSpot or whatever. We take it and we do whatever you need to do with it. And so we'll make the calls, we'll build out the scripting, we'll build all the integrations with maybe your custom solution you're currently using today. And then within 30 days, you're launched and you're ready to go. And you're a happy camper. You have your AI call center running on autopilot.
Oh, it's an exciting idea and mission. That the challenge from my standpoint is, although simple interactions have been around through speech recognition since, gosh, the 90s. I was selling and deploying dialogic-based IVRs and speech rec. Complex interactions in areas like healthcare and finance are not as straightforward. So how do you handle those sort of customer interactions that can be quite, multimodal and complex?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a few ways that we work with customers in healthcare, for example.
Mhm.
When it comes to sensitive topics, of course, language models out of the box, they have a lot of rules around them. We actually put in our own rules, make sure that you stay on topic and you're discussing the topic at hand. But customers can add in a bit more than that when it comes to the framework around the agent they're building. So one is we have what we call our Genius database, and this is on the back end. It's a vector database, and essentially it's this big chunk of information that a Thoughtly agent can draw upon at any time. So let's say I ask a question like, "What is your pricing?" or "What do you do?" or "Where are you guys located?" That can be pulled from the Genius database if you've put it in there. You can put your whole website in the Genius database if you want to, and the agent can access it. The other thing that we have, which I think is super cool, is what we call rules and training. And the way this works is you, on the Thoughtly dashboard, can click train, and you train your agent. You talk back and forth with it. And anytime it says something you don't want it to say, you can go in and you can say, don't say this, don't say that, say it like this, say it like that, and make sure you mention this, make sure you mention that. This is great for anything from sales where you want to really like handle an objection very well, all the way to support for healthcare. Like, don't mention this, do mention this, make sure you know, are sensitive around this topic. And after all that is done, which when we do it for you, it takes about 30 days. You do it yourself. It depends on the complexity of your business, right? But it could take hours, if not minutes. Your agent's ready to go and act just like a human would. The key here is, of course, provide it the information you would provide it to a human, and it will be able to do what you would want. But imagine hiring somebody to handle your calls and not giving them any information. They're not going to do a very good job. And so we want you to give that same information to our AI.
A fantastic approach. So when I look at this landscape, it's fascinating. It's dynamic with people like yourselves on it, but there's also, according to Gartner, Forrester, Opus, key analysts in this space, hundreds, if not thousands, of various voice agent solutions emerging. How do you differentiate yourself in this very crowded, busy kind of landscape?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a few buckets of companies that you kind of have to look at when you start to understand the nuances of conversational AI. But there's really, it starts with, if you want to even call it conversational AI, I wouldn't, but it would be press one, press two, and sort of like these bot builders, which are great in some use cases, but not great in others, especially when you want to have a high customer satisfaction score. And so that's all the way over here. Then you have in the middle sort of this, I guess we call it pre-scripted AI. And so you can think of this like if you've ever called a hotel, it's very common, but say concierge, say front desk, say pool. And then if you were to say something else like, I want to reach the beach club, for example, you as the company, the business would go in and you'd put in a response like the beach club is not open right now. And you would pre-write it, pre-script it. Then on the other hand, there's Thoughtly. And the way Thoughtly differentiates from all of these legacy companies is we are human-like agents. And the human-like is the key important term there. These are hyper-realistic. They speak just like humans. The voice comes through the phone just like a person. And a lot of our customers have no idea that they're actually talking to an AI, but that's what makes a big difference. And this is only possible in the past few years with the advancements of language models, which are not baked into those legacy platforms.
Well said. So you talk a lot about insight through analytics and real-time data visualization tools baked into your products. How do they help businesses optimize and strategize in terms of their customer interactions?
Yeah, I think this is one thing we do really well. It's data, and by that I don't mean like collecting data from phone calls, because it's like a gray area we're not getting into. But it's more like collecting data on the performance of your script. So let's say the goal of the script that you've built is to transfer the customer to a sales agent, right? Like a closer, an account executive, or something like that. You can see from every call how many people made it to get to that transfer. If the goal was to book an appointment, how many people made it to book an appointment? And we even have what we call A/B nodes, which make it so you can test both pathways, both workflows. And so if one workflow works really well and it gets tons of customers to book an appointment, clearly that's the workflow you should be going with, as opposed to down the other side of the tree that isn't converting as well. So we provide that data at a high level, but we also take the conversation transcript and you can put in custom tags. So for example, I want to know how many people are interested in a callback. I can put that into my Thoughtly agent workflow. And after every call, I'll be able to screen the call automatically, and I can see how many of those calls were interested in call back. And I can go through each and every single one, and I can call them back manually myself if I wanted to. Obviously, that works great for low volume, but you can see how there's so many different use cases when you have those tags in there. It really opens up basically limitless data that you can get on these types of conversations.
Fantastic. Wow, really exciting. So, consumers apparently have mixed feelings about voice bots. I suggest many of them have mixed feelings about bad IVRs and bots they've experienced firsthand. But, how do you overcome, some of the perceptions about voice AI being undesirable, negatively viewed by a lot of consumers, at least by polls and surveys? How do you overcome those roadblocks?
Yeah, I think that that like this speaks to our main differentiator. If I'm a consumer, which I am, and I get tons of cold calls from people all the time, It's annoying. And I hate that. I hate getting random calls out of the blue, somebody trying to sell me something. Um, think point number one here is when you're using AI agents, that's illegal in the United States. So we don't allow that. You'll never
Mhm.
get a call from Thoughtly that's not consented. You can't do that on the Thoughtly platform. So that's great. You're not going to get a cold call from Thoughtly. Um, but the main workflow is when I've opted in or I have some sort of intent or I show interest. So for example, if I go on your website and I fill out a form and I want to immediately have my system call that person who just entered the information into a form and book an appointment, for example, that's a great use case. And I, as a consumer, have expressed that I want to get information from you, and so you're now free to reach out to me and book an appointment. There's really no reason there why I would be frustrated when I receive that call, because I've shown you that I want to be helped by you in some way or another. I'm interested in your service, right? And then on the inbound use case, if I call a company today, you might be greeted with, and this happens at like pharmacies, right? Press one, press two, and it's super frustrating.
Mm.
Wouldn't it be so much easier if you just, a human picked up? That's what we're building. We're making it so it just sounds like a person picks up, and in 90 seconds you can get the answer. When will my prescription be finished and filled? I know the answer within 90 seconds, and I never had to spam press zero or start screaming on the phone like transfer me. There's no need for that because I'm basically talking to a person right out of the box. It has the same capabilities as the other person who's standing behind the counter. And so the agents that we're building, there's people actually embrace them as like, I'm excited to talk to this person because they're here to help me. It's really just a means by which you can get to the solution faster than ever before.
Fantastic. Among the other challenges that you're probably seeing are multi-language support, customization for different regions and markets, dialects. How do you handle all the complexities of languages?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have, I think this is what's so cool about Thoughtly is I don't speak languages other than English. Unfortunately, I've tried, but failed many times at Duolingo. But I can build on Thoughtly. I can build out an agent and put it all in English, and then I just select the drop down, and I can have it speak Turkish, Spanish, Ukrainian, Russian, French, whatever language,
Mm.
and it will speak fluently over the phone with customers,
Wow.
just like that at the snap of a finger. Does all the translation for you, and even has the correct accents based on where you want. So we actually have multiple Spanish voices, for example, from Latin America, from mainland Spain, from different regions in Latin America, and you can select the one based on your preference and where your customers are. But it's just so easy to build agents based on specific regions. It's never been easier to communicate with people globally.
Yeah, fantastic. So when it comes to the contact center, call center, there are lots of 800-pound gorillas out there. I won't name them all, but you know who they are. And a lot of technical debt, kind of views, oh, if it's not broke, don't fix it
Yep.
kind of thing. How do you overcome or integrate or, support your customers with all of that legacy technology out there?
Yeah. So really, most of our customers, when they're using some of these legacy softwares, um, getting into the technicals a little bit, and many people will understand this. I don't know if you're familiar with SIP, but the way we work is you can actually route calls to us directly via SIP. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you're working with some of these legacy platforms, you have your very basic decision tree in there. And if it hits a certain, we call it a node, but whatever it is in the other software, then it can just route the call straight over to us via SIP. And that's totally integrated with the legacy voice system. And so that's one way to do it. Other ways, of course, are call forwarding. But at the end of the day, the integration between telephony systems, it's really just either how you route phone calls via a phone number or via SIP, and we make both available, and it's very easy. And then after the call, we can just route it right back to your system, and you have all that data pass through. We use SIP headers, just right in your existing software.
Yeah, SIP finally paying off after all these
That's
years.
right.
So it's
That's
good,
right.
good to hear. Um, I'm almost reluctant to ask about future advancements or features. You're kind of living the future today, but what do you see in the next year or two in terms of conversational AI and your voice bots? What advancements can we expect?
Yeah, I think that the key for us is, on one hand, we want to build even more realism, so making the agents sound more human, act more human, and converse in a great way. Like they should laugh if you make a joke. Today, if you made a joke with a Thoughtly agent, it would just say ha ha. And it's kind of an awkward experience. But, what we'd like to do is make it just so much more human-like, where it can actually laugh
Hmm.
and it can sound like a person you're talking to.
Wow.
That's part one. Part two is building for us what we call more hands and fingers. And so if you think about it, most of the actual brain power that a call center agent is using during the day is they're looking at their computer monitor, clicking around, looking at your ticket, finding your information, booking appointments, trying to go through their system and do something for you, like rebook your flight. The more power we give to the AI agent, so it can intelligently do this for you, the better. And so this means faster handle time, less need for you to have to get transferred to a person to get help, but rather our handle time of 50 seconds, which is industry leading. 50 seconds, we can actually solve an issue for you. We can maintain that even as workflows get more complex.
Fantastic. Care to call out any customers or segments where you've had a lot of success? Anything you can share on that end of things?
Yeah. So a few. We are working really well. We're a horizontal platform. I think that
Hmm.
the important thing to note is we work really well with companies in industries that have very specific and unique scripting requirements. So if
Hmm.
you're a plumber or hair salon, Thoughtly might not be the best platform for you because there could be a solution out there that just works great for hair salons. But if you are a company that requires, your very specific, customer experience over the phone, then Thoughtly would be for you. And so a lot of healthcare companies use Thoughtly for this very reason. So one of our customers is Enhance Health. They're the official sponsor of the Miami Dolphins, if you've seen them down in Southeast Florida. But we love working with them because essentially when calls come in, Thoughtly can now triage them very quickly, as opposed to you having to wait in a hold queue or taking up time from people who could be spending time doing better things like issuing you a plan. You're now free to do that more as opposed to taking the top of the funnel phone calls.
Wonderful. Well, great use case. Thanks so much for sharing the mission and vision. Really super exciting. You guys are clearly hard at work. I see your team a little bit behind you. What are you looking forward to the rest of the summer? A little bit of R&R? Or are you just typical startup mode plowing right through?
I wish I had time for R&R. I'd love to be sitting on my porch with beautiful plants behind me. Uh, I'm sure you're hard at work too, Evan, but you've got a beautiful background.
It's not.
Uh,
It's when it's fun. It's never work. So I think that's
that's
probably
right.
the case for you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We were staying busy. That's for sure.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for just a peek behind the curtain, and I'm sure we'll see you at many of the industry meetups and get-togethers in the CX space. Lots of exciting stuff going on. Even you mentioned HubSpot. I'll be there in Boston if anyone is watching. And thanks for your insights and time. Congratulations on all the success, the fundraise, and beyond.
Thanks so much, Evan. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.